Hey guys, welcome to 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description. And here's what I need you to do. Make sure you subscribe to the Volumes YouTube channel to stay up to date to everything we're doing here on 3 and Out and the Volume. Well, we got to start with Jon Gruden. And I go back to Playmakers, the show that came out on at ESPN in 2003. Would have been it might have been 2004, but it was my freshman year of college. I loved the show. I thought it was awesome, and the NFL hated it. And they basically, because they were partners with ESPN, said it was too over the top, and they made him take it down. And one thing we've learned from 2004 till today, October 11th, I'm recording this, is you can't write Hollywood scripts. You can't write any potential thing to happen in the NFL that would ever shock anyone. Always be ready for the unexpected. It is the greatest reality television show in American history. There is not a close second. Nothing holds a candle to the craziness of the National Football League. Not in a million years would I have thought a week ago that Jon Gruden wouldn't be the head coach. Hell, even when the emails came out against Demoria Smith, he said he regretted it, he was sorry. I thought it was just over. It clearly wasn't. And Florio at Pro Football Top kept tweeting out that someone in the NFL was coming for him. I texted someone with the Raiders. They thought someone was gunning for him too. And if you look at it, these were not, my theory is this, and in that article today, and I was watching the Monday Night Football game, and I get several texts, probably 4 or 5, from all sorts of different people. Someone I work with, a couple friends, another acquaintances, and they all forwarded me the article. And every single one of them, and some of these people are Democrats, some of them are Republicans, they all think differently, so it's not like they all think the same. Every single one of them commented, he's done. Every single one of them. And then, of course, I read it and I go, wow. But one of the first things in there was he calls Roger Goodell a pussy. So my theory is that Roger Goodell hated him. This could be wrong. And Roger Goodell was coming after Gruden and had access to all these emails because they're doing the irony of Jon Gruden getting fired for an investigation into Dan Snyder and the football team is kind of comical, but that's a reality. And Jon Gruden is done because of this email scandal. But he didn't get fired calling Roger Goodell a pussy. They threw in Obama and Biden. Don't think they didn't put that in there on purpose. They know how to get the media riled up. They know how to create the storm. To me, it's the Michael Sam comment. The Michael Sam comment was that's. I thought immediately once I read that, he's done. He's in major, major trouble. And then you factor in he is, the first openly gay player on his team. But here's the thing. Gruden had a huge kind of cloud of question mark around him before these emails. If he was on a normal contract, a 5-year contract, we would have been talking about Jon Gruden being on the hot seat right now. His team hasn't sniffed the playoffs in several years. He traded away all of his good players. And even now, he starts 3-0 and then he loses 2 straight games. So it's are they going to make the playoffs again? Probably not. But now Mark Davis, was somewhat just given a lifeline. He has the ability to now get away from Jon Gruden, which I don't know. I mean, Mark Davis loved Jon Gruden, or at least did. I'm not even talking before the emails. I'm talking when he made the hire. He had begged him to come back to the Raiders for years. In 11, and then again in 14, and then again in 17 when he finally got him. But it's not like Jon came back for the love of the game. It cost him $100 million. So he was stuck with this contract. If it didn't go well, and it didn't, I would have bet against the Raiders making the playoffs this year, especially how they looked recently, and the offensive line wasn't that good, that Mark Davis was stuck. And now he kind of gets a reprieve. He's in Vegas. He has a sweet new stadium. He has some decent players on his team. It's an interesting town for people that are going to want to come there. It's cheap to live. It's got no state income tax. I think his job, when he hired Jon Gruden, place was toxic. Then Jon Gruden kind of screwed it up and wasn't doing that well. Now he kind of gets to start over from scratch. They have all their picks. They have a quarterback. And they're going to have, from October 11th now till early January to kind of separate themselves from Gruden. But the reality is this does, a lot of weird shit happens with the Raiders. Right before training camp started, they fired their president. Right? That happened. That was whoa, what's going on there? A couple years ago, Reggie McKenzie just fired out of nowhere. They hire Mike Mayock. They consistently just do some weird things. Now, I always thought highly of Mike Mayock. I thought, watched him on NFL Network like everyone else. I'm this guy would be a really good general manager. And then he goes work for Gruden, and their picks are terrible. All their high draft picks, Cleveland Farrell, royal bust, can't even play. Damon Arnett, terrible. Alex Leatherwood, I know it's only 5 games, but they already had to move his position. And it's constantly something football-wise. So then when this drama came, but it wasn't just drama, it was being led by the NFL. This was leaked to the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. This did not go through Glazer. This did not go through Schefter. This did not go through Rap Sheet. To me, this was someone in the NFL, this is just my theory, wanted to get Jon Gruden, and they got him. Now, we can discuss cancel culture, and is it right? Is it wrong? The reality is this is the way the world works now in 2021. When you have emails, especially in a league that is trying to really improve their image with a guy, what's his equity with the league? It's not like he's one of their best coaches. It's not like he's some guy that's beloved by everyone. Like, I was going to use an example of another coach that's really liked, but that's not even fair because they wouldn't do that. But Jon Gruden, like, to me, I even had this thought, and I'm sure, listen, I say all the time, I don't get on my moral high horse because I would be lying if I've said in my lifetime I haven't used these words, right? I grew up in the 90s. Vernacular has changed dramatically. And I'm sure I've been part of email chains 15, 20 years ago, in the mid-2000s that would look really bad now. But I would imagine in the last 10 years, I'm actually pretty confident that I wouldn't type those things in an email to another colleague. Now, he was working at ESPN. Bruce Allen was working at Washington. But he acted like an email was a text message. Now, you could argue, is it fair that they can go back 10 plus years, different job? It doesn't matter. He's gone. It's over. It's done. And I do think the birds were already circling before this even happened. We were asking questions constantly for those of us that, like, obviously I live in the East Bay where the Raiders used to play. I know a lot of seasons. They didn't like Jon Gruden. They did. Now, did the owner? I don't know. Has Mark Davis changed? Maybe he has, because John hasn't been getting it done and he's paying him a lot of money. But he was really important to have a rock star head coach to go to Vegas. But it wasn't like, it looked a little weird from a football standpoint. And now you just wonder, like, is the job good? Because forever, they could never get a decent coach. And they finally got Jon Gruden, but it cost them $100 million. Can they just get a Joe Brady, a Brian Daboll for $40 million? Because in the past, they never could. They could never get a guy with options. And I think maybe this time around, they can get a guy with options. But, like, this is just, I'm almost at a loss. And I'm someone that has takes and I always have opinions. It was just one of those things. I was shell-shocked. And it's been a couple hours since the story broke that I'm recording this. I still don't really know what to say. It is one of the craziest fucking things I've ever seen. It really is. And I think it's going to go down as just one of those moments that you never forget. Like, if you're a sports fan, you do what we do. If you're listening to this, it was an all-time wow moment. It was so crazy that I honestly couldn't focus on the Monday Night Football game. And every time I look up and then I look at Carson Wentz had his best game it looks like he's had in years. Lamar Jackson is absolutely incredible. He threw for over 440 yards, game-winning touchdowns, run around. I saw John Harbaugh just called it one of the best games he's ever seen. Just a remarkable performance. And I don't even feel like I get to take it in because I was just consumed with texting people and reading about Jon Gruden. Jon Gruden, and this speaks to the Raiders, Jon Gruden was so much more famous, like Urban Meyer, than he was good at coaching. He wasn't good at coaching. He was probably average, but his fame levels were like, he was like a rock star or a movie star. He was just bigger than life. But as a coach, he wasn't bigger than life. So they were in this position where they had this guy who actually didn't deliver like when you said his name, like Jon Gruden. Everyone knew who I was talking about. Everyone knew exactly who Jon Gruden is. Yet when you watch him coach, you're like, there's something to be desired. It's not like he's Andy Reid or Sean McVay or Belichick or, it's just like, he's just average. And I think that's the lesson, that it's an all-time hype train. No one in my lifetime has ever had a better decade-long hype train, and they got to control it themselves because he was the lead voice on Monday Night Football. And he became this all-time coach. You know what it turns out? He was kind of shitty. He wasn't that good. And he got a ton of money. And he profited off it. He made so much money since leaving Tampa Bay. And he made a lot of Tampa Bay. But the amount ESPN paid him, and then even the little amount, $35 or whatever $million he made for his 3 years and 5 games that he coached the Raiders, there are going to be a million conspiracy theories. And I love a good conspiracy theory. I'll hear every single one of them, and I'll believe them. There is nothing about this story that I won't believe or won't think is possible. And maybe with time, we'll get the truth. Who really had the vendetta against Gruden? I'm fascinated to learn that. Like, we need a detective on the scene here. But yeah, Jon Gruden's no longer the coach of the Raiders. Thanks for watching 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description. And make sure you subscribe right now to the Volumes YouTube channel.